Ooh, that looks tasty. Welcome folks, Today the Hungry Gamer is back with another game review, and today we're talking about River Valley Glassworks, designed by Adam Hill, Ben Pinchback, Matt Riddle, with art by Andrew Bosley, and published by Allplay. And thank you to Allplay for sending me this deluxe version of the game. Now, what this game is this is a tableau building and drafting style game where you are a river critter business of collecting river glass and putting it in your store. And you'll be building up your tableau and scoring points at the end of the game based on rows and columns. Also, please make sure you turn on your Klingon subtitles, because if I make any mistakes in this rules overview, that is where you'll find the corrections. Now, if you are not interested in how this game is played and just want to jump into my final thoughts, then you would go to the timestamp on the screen right now. For those of us still here, let's talk about how this game is played. First of all, what we have here is a bag full of the, in this case, plastic bits, though I do believe there is the possibility to get the super deluxe, which are actually bits of river glass as well. But I want to move that off the board because, again, it just gives a little bit of a glare. In fact, I have another glare coming from my window right there. Let me fix that right now. And so to avoid different shadows and stuff, I'm going to just move this off the screen. We'll see it in a minute. So what's going to happen is you are going to take turns drafting river glass. And to do that, you're going to start the game with this setup. And what you see here is this little rock symbol on these tiles. That's telling you how many pieces of river glass start there, and you start with 5 glass over there. And then in your tray, you start with 4. So I'll grab 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you are limited to having a max of 5 right there. Now, what's going to happen is, on your turn, you're going to either draft 4 pieces of glass from the pool here, which obviously I can't do right now, or take 1 or 2 of your river glass from here and place it on the board. So the way that works is you'll see that we have these different shapes, these symbols. So if I were to take this heart-shaped one, I could place it here, and then I could take either the symbol, the glass that is here, or here. So I will just go ahead and take these. And then what happens is each column can only be a single color. So in this case, I would have to place both of them just like that. And you always have to place left to right. Now, just for the sake of argument, let's say that instead I had placed right here and taken these 2. Then these 2 would go here and here. But I would have a choice of which one I wanted to be furthest to the left. And that's going to matter because, and what you can see here is how common the different colors are. So there's a lot of white glass and purple glass in the bag, but there is not a lot of the orangey red or yellow, and the others are in between. Then, after you've completed whatever you're going to do, this piece of river moves to the back, it all slides down, and again we see that there's 2 stones there, go into the bag, and 2 more get placed out. And as I said, eventually, as you're playing through, again, I'd be placing these on the river, you will come to the point where you have 1 or 0 left here, and then you'll have to go to the river and you'll take 4. And so we'll just say I take these 4 here, and I'll replace my river, and I'll replace the river glass in the pool there. And now I'm in this situation. And I did that because there's one other thing that you can do. You can also at any time take 2 of the exact same shape, and now it becomes a wild. So I can take these 2 hot doggy looking things, and I can put them wherever I want. So let's just say I really want more white ones. So I'll take them and I'll put them both right here, and then I'll take these 2. And now I've gotten that even higher. Then of course, again, we pick up and we move, and we get more. Now, the other thing that I haven't pointed out is you have your little meeple here, in this case, my little frog. And what's going to happen is for every piece of glass you get, you're going to move them down the river here. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I would move it all the way to here. And this has to do with the end game, because when a player gets here or past, that will trigger the end of the game. Then when you get to the end of the game, you're going to score your board. Now I'm going to put some more glass out here and show you how that works. Now let's just say that for the sake of the argument, we ended the game here. And we're going to score 2 different things. We're going to score each of the rows and 2 of the columns. So down here are the points you get for rows. So this first one here, you'll notice I've gone all the way across, so that would give me 22 points. While this row here, I've only gone to here, so that would give me another 16 points. Then since I have nothing right here, that's the end of my scoring for the rows. Then columns, you're going to take your two highest columns. In this case, I have the white one here, and we take a look. I have a 12 there, so I get 12 points for that. But then I have a tie here of these two. And if there's two that are tied for second highest, you always take the furthest to the left, so I would get 6. If let's say this was the final situation, then I would actually get 18 points. Then you're also going to lose 3 points for each what's called overflow. And you'll get overflow if, let's say, I did another draft later on and I wound up getting 2 more white. Well, I could only place 1 there, so this other one would go to overflow. And then whoever has the most points at the end of the game is going to win. I will also point out that there are several different modules that you can add. Some of them add different scoring conditions that you can get. Some add powers, and so on and so on. But this is the core of how this game works. So what do I like about this game? First off, Andrew Bosley's art is just fantastic. It is just fantastic. And now I have the deluxe version of the game, and so I have an incredible production with the neoprene mat and the acrylic river tiles and the deluxe bits. They're not the super deluxe bits, but the deluxe river glass. It's just wonderful the way it's put together. It is beautiful, it is wonderful, and that has to be said a million times. Now, moving on to the gameplay itself, I think the core of the gameplay is very pleasant. It's a very simple gameplay. You put one down and take something next to it, or you take stuff from the river. That is it. And because of that, it is very easy to play this game. It is a really strong filler game because you just throw it in, you do the things, and you're done. It's easy to understand the scoring, and really it comes down to, with the core game, just trying to figure out how you want to draft the things from the river. Mostly it's a very pure drafting style game, and I appreciate that. But at the same time, even though it is very simple, there are really hard choices because you're not just taking the river glass. You know how common that glass is in the bag, so you're faced with this choice of, well, I could get 4 glass here, but those are really common glass, and maybe I want to wait until I've gotten over further so I can get a lot of that common glass and get more points. But on the other hand, if I have the rare glass at the front, I might not be able to get my horizontal rows. So there's a really interesting trade-off that goes with that as you are playing through the game. But where I think the game shines the most is when you start to add in the mini modules. I think there's 6 or 7 of them, and they're great because you can add as many as you want, and it just makes the game a little more complex as you add them in. Maybe you add in the one-time player powers that you're going to use, the assistant, the platypus assistant, which is awesome. I love the platypus. And that's just a teeny tiny bit more advanced. Or maybe you add the one where you have an overflow contract you're trying to fulfill, and that becomes significantly more complex to try to get that, to try to make yourself overflow. Or maybe it's the ability to change around river glass, or. There's all these things you can kind of add in. You can go from basically the lightest of the light to a heavy light game, maybe. And so I appreciate that that's there, and I think that's what kind of makes the game work, because it's not just, okay, yep, I'm going to take some stuff, or I'm going to take some other stuff. Because though that is fun, very quickly even the newest gamer is going to figure that out. And so being able to add these little mini modules really makes it work. So what are my quibbles with the game? Well, the main thing is it's very light. And I tend to gravitate a bit more towards heavy light games or medium weight games. And even for me, it's a light game. For me to really enjoy it, I feel like we need to add in at least 3 of the modules. And so that is something you really need to track, is that you have to. It's just not going to be a heavy game. And then along with that, I think the core of the game comes down to, it's not card counting, but a little bit like that, because you know exactly how common the different bits of glass are. And so it's like, okay, how many are out there? What are the odds that I'm going to be able to get what I want
off of the river because I know in 2 turns the other player is going to have to take glass. And then when they have to take glass, more is going to come out. And then what are the odds I'll be able to get what I need for when I draft? And it really kind of comes down to that. And either you are into that or you are not. And along with that, at the end of the day, as cute as this game is, and as enjoyable as it is, it's not what I would call an exciting game. It is a little bit of a brain burn. It's a puzzle. It's not something where there's going to be a moment where you're jumping up and down and like high-fiving and shouting and whooping and hollering, because that's just not what the game is. And is that bad? No, but I just want to make sure that I throw that in there to really stress that this is about the drafting and the placement and figuring out how common different colors are going to be. But with that said, this is just a very simple game, and it can sometimes be hard to critique simple games because it does what it does, and it does it well, and you just have to make sure you are not looking for something that the game is not. So there you have it, folks. That is River Valley Glassworks. Overall, I was quite pleasantly surprised by this because I actually got to play a very, very early version of it several years ago when it was still in development, and it was just the very core of the game and even simpler, and I was whelmed by it. I was like, okay, that was fine. But adding the stuff in there, I think it's taken the game. I think it's made it a game that is actually quite enjoyable, and I've enjoyed playing. So there you have it, folks. That is River Valley Glassworks. As always, if I made any mistakes in the rules overview, please let me know in the comments with a timestamp so I can get that in the clean subtitles. If you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, share, maybe become a channel member. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.